Can you hear me now? I'm just playing around with different microphone. So my camera has a separate microphone. Let me know if you can hear me now. Thank you for joining and thank you for your patience. This is my first LinkedIn Live. So I knew that there were going to be some learnings today. First learning is my microphone. I tried to test it before, but I'm not sure what happened. Let me know if you can hear me. I just changed the setting again for my microphone. That's pretty interesting. I'm not sure what happened. So let's see. Please let me know if you can hear me. Okay, so Janet, you can hear me. Good. I can only see your comments. I can't comment while I'm live. But it sounds like Janet can hear me. If Benedict, are you still there? Can you hear me now? Can everyone hear me well? Okay. I'm just going to assume Janet can hear me and hopefully everyone can hear me as well. Please let me know in the chat if you can't hear me. All right, so I'm going to keep going, just hoping that everyone can hear me. All right, so thank you once again for joining. Please let us know in the comment box where you are located and something interesting about you. Let's know in the chat box. Okay, I'm just going to read. All right, thank you so much, Benedict, for letting me know. This is going to be really an interesting ride because I have to switch between tabs, but hey, we're here and thank you so much for your time. So let's go really quickly. I was just introducing myself. My name is Esther Hefsiba. I'm a life and leadership transformation coach, speaker, trainer. I love to help leaders flip the great resignation, or what people call the great reshuffle, into retaining and actually empowering your team and creating a culture of communication. Because in this new normal that we found ourselves, the truth is there's a big shift in what employees are asking for. And so business leaders are asking, what is best for my employees? What is the best work model, right? How do I create a more inclusive work environment? Now, these are all questions that are valid. But then how do we tackle them? Just a second. I'm looking into the chats. Like I said, I'm gonna have to switch. So just bear with me. Bear with me here. And so today I'm going to be unpacking based on insight. I've been doing a lot of research because just a little background as to why I do what I do. I was in the corporate world for 12 plus years. I was working for a Fortune 500 company. And the truth is, even though I didn't see this coming, when I talk about this coming, I'm talking about the Great Resignation. But I have experienced what employees are now experiencing, and that is living a life that is in complete alignment with your core values, with your motivation, with what motivates you at your core. And so I got to a point in my career where it was no longer about the position. I was in middle management. It wasn't about the position or the role or the title or the pay. It was more about meaning. It was more about having a strong sense of purpose that connected with the organizational mission and vision. And it wasn't there anymore. I couldn't find it. And so I was empty. Outwardly I looked successful, but the truth is I had an inward unrest. And so I can totally connect with this great resignation. But the good news is there is solution. There's a solution to this. And this is what I'm about to share with you. It's 3 leadership skills that cannot be ignored in 2022. Actually, beyond 2022, but as a starting point, helping leaders begin to understand what can we do differently. Last week I was in a conversation with one of the CEOs in New Brunswick in Canada, where I live, and I was speaking to her and her leadership team, particularly HR director. and they are so puzzled, overwhelmed with what is happening. Employees are asking for something different. The needs, the wants is beyond pay. And I began to give them insight into based on my research and my experience that if we can get equipped, we expand our awareness and we're equipped with the tools to help foster employee motivation, really uncover that's the root cause. The root cause is there is a misalignment between what employees are truly motivated by and what they get in the workplace. And so leaders are left with this opportunity. I call it an opportunity. Every obstacle is an opportunity wrapped. And so when we begin to understand that the great resignation, employees leaving and changing jobs at every opportunity, we begin to see that this is actually a great awakening. It is actually a great, what I call reassessment. Leaders and organizations beginning to reevaluate what truly is important uniquely to each of our employees. That is where we begin the conversation. And so when I look at the first leadership skill based on um, my research and experience and based on insight that I've gathered over the past 3 to 6 months, I've actually been learning. Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand and then be understood. I wanted to really understand, I've been gathering common themes, listening to conversations, to business leaders. And the number one skill that is very critical and non-negotiable that cannot be ignored as a leader is empathy. And when you look at the word empathy, this is a skill that can be cultivated. We are all at different levels. My level of empathy will be different from yours, depending on how you are wired. And so empathy is that making someone feel seen, valued, and heard and understood. Let me give you a quick example. So when I was in the corporate world, I came into this position, I knew nothing. It was an operations role and I had to learn. It was a steep learning curve. One of the things that helped me to succeed on that role was being their cheerleader, was listening to them and learning from them as well. Because the truth is my team members knew way better than I did. And so listening to their pain points, feeling seen, valued, understood, understanding what it is about the problem that is not working for them, and being willing to work with them. Empathy is saying, I see you, I feel you, you're not alone. What can we do about it together? And so, as leaders, if you want to define success in this era of great resignation, if you want to truly attract and retain talents, if you truly want to stand above like you're outstanding in your leadership approach, empathy is a non-negotiable skill you need to have in your toolbox. And like I said, it's something you can cultivate. So right now, I want you to begin to think about, where am I on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of empathy? You don't have to share. But at the end of today, I'm going to be sharing a couple of tools that can help you move one step forward in terms of empathy. You beginning to cultivate listening, active listening, and proactively communicating to your employees or maybe to your family members. Like I said, it's no longer just a workplace. Life is now seen as a full and a total wheel, right? There is no longer work and life. Now there is alignment. I don't have to show up at home differently from, this is who I am. If I'm growing my leadership skill, then I can use it with my family members as well. So I wanted to look at empathy and look at how can I better listen with the intent to serve and to help. So active listening is very important. It is you putting aside whatever you know and just listening and tuning into what the other person is saying. Again, depending on your communication style and your personality, we are all at different levels of empathy. All right, so the next skill that I would like to share is inclusiveness. This is a big deal right now because leaders who model inclusive behaviors. It's no longer about the diversity. It's about everyone's voice is valued at the table. So an employee who maybe is a caretaker, right? Or is having someone to take care of at home and is not able to work at the normal scheduled hours of the organization. How do you ensure as a leader that the voice of this employee is still valued, is still heard? It is looking at ways to adapt innovative and creative approach to still include this employee. Because the truth is, stress and anxiety is at an all-time high right now. In my province in New Brunswick, where I live, we are currently in a lockdown mode, and I'm hearing a lot of people voicing out their concerns. And so this is a time where, as a leader, inclusiveness is non-negotiable. No matter what is happening to an employee, being able to understand that I can only connect with this employee if I acknowledge that no matter what you're going through, you're still valued. And I believe this is an extension of empathy. There are a lot of tools that I'm going to be sharing to also help you up level your inclusiveness as a skill. So maybe you're currently at a 3. How do you take it to a 4? Employees, they get retained and they would stay and they'll be loyal to a company that makes them feel valued and heard no matter what is happening to them. Being adaptable to say that, what can we do with your work hours? How can we help you? And also proactively communicating that. I think that's important because sometimes we get to this crisis mode, and then as a leader, we're trying to look for band-aid solutions. But understanding that anything can happen. I mean, all of a sudden we had to go into lockdown mode, right, in New Brunswick, and I have to homeschool my kids. I have to, look after them through online schooling. So that shifts my schedule. Well, I'm an entrepreneur, so I have some form of flexibility. But as an employee, what do you think happens? One of my friends was telling me yesterday that she had to wake up early, said she has 3 kids. And, when you look at that as a leader, you want to proactively create room to accommodate situations like this because now everything is changing at the snap of a finger. So inclusiveness, with this fast moving environment we found ourselves, inclusiveness is a skill that has to be cultivated. I'm not saying we all have to be at a 10, but what are you going to do today to move you one step higher, to expand your awareness, to help you get equipped and empowered to up level your skill as an inclusive leader? Now, the third skill that I'll be sharing is courage. I don't know about you, so I'm going to check in the chat box just to see what's happening. Thank you once again for joining us today. I'm so thankful that I got to do this and I get to share what I've found. Like I said, I've been doing this research for a while and listening to business leaders. I know that this is a very hot topic. So the third leadership skill that is non-negotiable right now is courage. And when you look at courage is a decision, really. Courage is you making that decision, even in the middle of things you decided to be uncommon and not normal. You decided to be unconventional. And so we are looking at creative approaches to really foster team engagement and employee well-being in any environment. It is you being willing to make those difficult decisions and communication as well and conversation. You be willing as a leader to look at what is going to work best for this team, for this employee. Because the truth is sometimes begin to look at the norm. I'm not sure we used to do this in the past. So courage is being open to innovation, to creativity. I mean, creativity is at its all-time high right now. Where you begin to explore, this is where you begin to explore and begin to uncover new ways, fresh ways of thinking, fresh insight and perspective. And so, as a leader, when you look at the word courage, I kind of have here, I said, courage is ripping off the band aid. Because the truth is, in the past, a lot of leaders had just band-aid solutions, just kind of made things look superficial. But the truth is, there were things that were boiling underneath. And so employees knew that, there was the leadership, they didn't really have genuine insight or genuine attention to what mattered to them. And so courage is really taking the time and making the decision to rip up the band-aid and say, you know what, let's get to root cause here. What is really driving our attrition rate? Why are people leaving? Why are employees leaving? No matter what it takes, and being willing to boldly step out, to shift and to transform your workplace. And just sometimes you have to make some tough calls. But the truth is, when you decide to do that, trust me, the possibilities are endless, because then you begin to attract the right talent, you begin to retain the right talent. You begin to develop leaders that multiply value to other leaders in your organization or in your team. And even your team begins to look at that as a model as well and as an example. And so these are the 3 skills that are non-negotiable in this era of great resignation. Again, empathy, inclusiveness, and courage. Now, the question that I would like to ask you is this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your leadership capacity in each of these key areas? Again, you don't have to share if you don't want to. But this is the great resignation calls for the great reawakening. It calls for deep reflection. It calls for we really looking inwards. A leader is someone who is able to be teachable, who is open to reflection. My mentor, John Maxwell, would say that your experience only counts when it is thoroughly evaluated. So I want you to look at, where am I as a leader? Or maybe you have you're in a team and you want to look at your own leader, and you want to rate, it sounds like we are not really tuning into these 3 key areas. And so the next step that I would like to offer is equipping you with tools that would really help you move forward as a leader. So I'm going to be sharing with you quickly 2 opportunities that I recently created to really help leaders, because honestly, one of my top goals in 2022 is to really equip and empower leaders, because I know it's possible when you have the right tool and the right mindset. And so I'm going to be sharing with you quickly one opportunity, which is called the Leadership Lunch and Learn. Now, I'm offering this to businesses, leaders, companies, organizations, to really help, even if it's just one groundbreaking idea that you have, one insight that you have that can help you move the needle forward in terms of retaining your employees and fostering employee engagement. What would that look like for you? So I want you to look at this video.
Just think, one simple break to focus on development can broaden your team's perspective on important matters in your business. When a John Maxwell team coach has the floor, in 45 minutes, your guest speaker will add definition to topics such as leadership, communication, and growth. Your John Maxwell certified coach will focus on your business so that you'll be given useful takeaways that will have immediate value when you apply them. Is your team ready to learn? Then you're 45 minutes from very big things.
All right. So one way that I have identified to help contribute to helping leaders in this season to help uplevel their courage, inclusiveness, and empathy is offering a leadership lunch and learn, which is completely free. So if you're here today or you're watching the replay, you have the opportunity to access a 45 minutes leadership lunch and learn, which by the way can be customized to your needs. I don't believe in one size fits all, and this is one of the um, one of the components of inclusiveness. When you begin to apply one size fits all company policy, oh my goodness, then you're missing the mark, right? But we're beginning to see that we want to zoom in into tailoring our solutions, our strategies to what the employee actually needs. And so this leadership lunch and learn, if you go, I'm going to be sharing the link shortly. If you go to this link, you're able to book a complimentary lunch and learn where I help you in three areas: leadership, personal and professional growth, or communication. You can submit, just put I'm interested in the complimentary lunch and learn, I'm interested in learning more, and I can help you listen to what your needs are or where you are at, maybe in your team, in your company, your organization, and I can tailor the content to match the needs of you. But you get this complimentary courtesy or Shine Transformation Consulting. Now, the next, what I would like to share as well as another tool that can help you. This one is a no-brainer. It's called the leadership game. Now, the results you get from this is uncovering root causes in your team, in your organization as a leader. Because sometimes we're not even aware of what the true root cause is. Now, this leadership game is a roundtable conversation. I call it conversation. So all employees feel seen, they feel heard, they feel valued. Work life is brought into this conversation in a 60-minute to in a 1 to 2 hours roundtable conversation using this groundbreaking tool called the leadership game. So I'm going to share this as well, and I'm going to tell you how you can tap into this tool as well. All right, so here we go. Now, before I go right ahead, I need to be sure that everyone can still hear me. Let me know if you're still here with me. It's hard to see the comments, from my screen, but let me know if you can still hear me and if you were able to hear the last video. So I'm going to play one more video, but I need to be sure that you can hear me. If anyone can just say yes, I can hear you, and I could. The video was audible. Please let me know in the chat box. Okay, so I'm just going to assume that you can hear me, and I'm going to play the leadership game. So again, the first one was the leadership lunch and learn. This is complimentary. For those watching the replay, if you're here with me, thank you so much again for joining. But you have access to me coming into your team, your organization, and sharing insights that would shift, that would transform your employee engagement, that would transform your approach to leadership. All right, so let's look at the comments here. It sounds like, okay. All right, just bear with me here. I am trying to scroll through the comment. Like I said, this is my first time. So just bear with me while I navigate this new terrain. I promise I'm learning. So Benedict says yes, but I think there's another comment which I can't really see. I'm not sure why. Okay. All right. So I think everyone can hear me. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to be playing the leadership game to give you an insight, a sneak peek into what this looks like. Again, this is a very fun and highly interactive tool. It can be played virtually. I mean, everything now seems to be in a virtual space. So the good news is it can be played virtually. Imagine having access to a virtual game, like really. And this is a leadership roundtable conversation. All right, so let's watch the video and I'll talk more about this.
Gather around the table. Roll the die. Challenge yourself and your team to a life-changing experience as you play the John Maxwell Team Leadership Game, a game designed to lower the barriers to honest evaluation of leadership within your company. A team, a management group, or a whole small business can benefit from the experience of this familiar game structure that comfortably brings your team to a safe and common ground where truth can be discovered, trust can be built, and power can be unleashed.
Playing the leadership game is probably one of the fastest ways to break down barriers between people on any kind of team.
It's time to test your grasp of everyday leadership practices. It's time to hear, maybe for the first time, how people truly respond to your leadership and learn how you respond to the leadership of others.
It was pretty incredible to see how just sharing our answers to what seemed like simple questions could really bring up things that many of us had maybe never thought about or never even said, perhaps.
Any group with a leader is held to a maximum growth by the level of leadership the person in charge operates within. It's the law of the lid. Raise your collective potential. The John Maxwell Team Leadership Game. Blow the lid off.
All right. Thank you so much for watching that. I'm curious to know what stood out for you. But I'm going to share a quick testimonial of of a client that I used this tool with. This incredibly creative and highly impactful tool. My client she had a very high attrition rate. Our employees were leaving like she couldn't even figure out what the problem was. This tool was what I leveraged as a solution to begin the conversation. And guess what? In less than 18 months, her employee engagement went up. She told me, Esther, you just literally saved my business and my life. I mean, it was a small team of about 10 people, but the result was phenomenal. She's like, Esther, last year when I was doing my year review with my clients, she was telling me, this changed my business. And so if you're looking for a tool that would help you, you don't have to figure out, oh, I need some employee survey. This is an all-in-one tool. It is multi-dimensional. It has kind of an employee survey. It is all built in strategically to help you uncover what the root causes, what could be the gaps that you probably are not identifying right now. To again help you create that culture of inclusion, of communication, and of course, results that continue to multiply value. So this is the second tool that I'm offering today. This is a tool, this is not complimentary, but if you are here today live and you're watching the replay as well, for a limited time, I'm going to be offering this at a discounted rate, just for you to have a sneak peek into the endless possibilities that awaits you and your team and your organization. But the launch and learn is something you can first of all start with, just to have an idea of what is possible, and I can expand more on the leadership game. Or if you feel you want to go into the leadership game first, please go to that link and just send an email, just less than 2 minutes. I know we're all pressed for time, but I promise it's a form that you can just say, I'm interested, put your email address, and we'll make sure to get back to you as soon as possible, actually right away. So thank you so much for joining today. I'm so excited that you were able to join us. For those watching the replay, thank you so much for joining, for tuning in. The plan is to come on weekly to share insights, strategies, what I'm gathering from business leaders from around the world, and to help you stay equipped and empowered so that you can accomplish even greater results and flip the great resignation in your organization to the great retention. Because I guarantee that if you're able to put this into use and you truly are able to understand the unique intelligence, the uniqueness of each of your team member, then they finally know that someone is listening to them. There is that top, there is that bottom up approach that really empowers your result as a team, boost your productivity in ways you cannot even imagine. So to wrap this up, thank you again for joining. I'm just going to be just trying to see what your biggest takeaway was today. What was your biggest takeaway? I know for some of us, this is probably not new, but I tell you that if you're able to just have a goal of up leveling each of these leadership skills, even if it's by 1%, imagine the compounding impact and value to your family, to your team, to yourself as well. Because the truth is, we are all leaders, no matter what the position or title is. We are all leading ourselves and leading others. Leadership is about influencing people to greater results, bringing out the best in them. But until we really understand what is going to bring out the best in Benedict, in Janet, in Esther, then you're not connecting with me, because the truth is everyone communicates, but few people connect. So if you're looking to truly connect from a place of empathy, inclusiveness, and courage, then I will challenge you to book a complimentary. Like I said, it's free. It's my gift to you today, but it gives you insights that would propel you forward, that will move the needle forward. So let's hear from you. What was your biggest takeaway from today's chat? What was your biggest takeaway from today's chat? What was insightful about this? What is something that truly stood out for you or resonated with you? I would love to hear before we wrap this up today. I'm just going to look into the chat. So much learnings that I have captured today, and I'm going to put into practice for next week. And this is what I love about consistency. You know, John Maxwell would say consistency compounds success. That's so true. You know, when you do something for the first time, it's always the first time, but then you continue to learn. And this is the whole goal of creating a culture, because then it becomes a lifestyle. You know, you begin to get better and better. But until you have the insight and the tools, then you probably, nothing is going to change. So, what was your biggest takeaway from today's chat? I would like you to share in the chat box. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining today. Looking forward to adding value to your team, to your organization, or to you as a person. Please, I would also pin the chat. I'll pin the link in below this video. But once again, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for being part of the solution. I hope you have a great rest of your day.